I'm gonna skip the introduction tonight. You know me talking about my crazy history. Got a friend who's watching this who I hadn't talked to in a good minute. That's not his fault. It's my fault. I've shut myself off from the entire world. And Josiah, the people in here can tell you about that. And I apologize for that because this was like my first real friend. Now, see, my mom and dad had a business that was taking off. Well, my dad was a pharmacist, and when mom's store took off, you know, he ended up doing the jewelry thing with her. But they wanted to afford me the best opportunities or whatever, so put me in a private school. I hated it. I did not fit in with these spoiled, no good, brag about everything you got mothers. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Don't worry, Josiah. I'm not going to cuss on here. I do on the other channel, not on here, though, so you ain't got to worry. Keep it Jeff Foxworthy on here. Keep it Richard Pryor on the other channel I got. But anyhow, I didn't get along with them. All they could talk about was, you know, what their parents had or did or this or that. And I'm just like, and anything you did, like if you had a chain, you know, which I got a chain now, pull that out now. You know, let my chain hang out since Josiah, and I'm going to tell that story here in a minute. It was the first time anybody ever took up for me. Now, going to a school for a few years and having people you consider friends, you'd expect one of them to take up for you, right? No. I mean, this school was called North Cross, okay? No religious stuff, you know, and, you know, nothing like the Rona. Well, I'm not going to say the name of the school, but nothing like that Catholic school, you know, I went to, twacked out for 2 weeks, thinking they think I was a twitchy kid, going in there trying to hustle in a private Catholic school. That didn't work out too well for me. But anyway, ironically, just a note to add, all these little snooty, no good, brag about your daddy, North Cross kids, I ended up banging them over the head back when I was hustling. With pride and prejudice, I did. They were so terrible. So terrible. See, my sister and I, we had this gum disease. Basically, our gums were like a straight line with it looked like a little kid drew somebody's teeth. And it's something my mom has too. And every few years we had to get it trimmed down, contoured. I didn't smile until I was in the 7th grade. If I smiled, I laughed like this. Josiah used to give me a hard time for that, cause I'd laugh like this, and he'd go, he'd do that. Yeah, I remember that. I got a long memory, man. And that's what's crazy too is he was quick with the comebacks and everything else, and you know it is so incredible. Now I talked about he was quick to get in there and fight and all that stuff in the thumbnail. I'm sure he still is. But, you know, with a different intent. I'm sure he's the same person that he was before. Except, you know, now it is with church. I mean, he's a preacher. I couldn't be more proud of him. I mean, you know, he got that hair that he can let grow and it just looks right. You know, there's people who can just let their hair grow and it just looks like they, you know, spend an hour on it. You know, I envy those people. You know, look at my head. It looks like 2 squirrels screwing on top of it right now. Sorry, it's the truth. It's awful. I need a haircut. I'm getting one tomorrow. But anyway, so when I switched schools, you know, I made a handful of friends, and Josiah was one of them. Now, we'd go to the movies on Friday night. Everybody did. And, you know, sometimes we go, sometimes we wouldn't. That's just what it was. So it was me, him, you know, a couple other friends of mine, and we're walking by Barnes & Noble and Kroger. There's an alley between them that is now fenced up. This is unrelated, but I ended up hustling so much in this alley, having a setup with about 3 or 4 people, that they gated it up. I'll get a video of that sooner or later. But anyhow, we're walking one way. And, you know, I started a new school, and I got my gums trimmed to where I could smile for the first time in my life. With those awful, you know, rich kids just making fun of me. And, I mean, I had no self-worth. There were girls, I look back, and I'm like, you know, there was a handful of girls. Not as much, you know, when I was in the 8th and 9th grade. but about the 10th and 11th grade that liked me, that I couldn't see it because I had no confidence. I thought I looked like a little troll came out from under a bridge. I mean, that's what I thought of myself. And I got like, Stifler on American Pie, who's a douchebag, but he got girls, so I got my hair with the little blonde stuff on it and all that. I look back, I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing? I look like a douche. But anyway, and I got a big old silver chain, and we walked by and there are these twins. They got an older brother. Older brother's a jock, got some muscle to him. Reasonably sized guy. I mean, he's bigger than any of the ones walking with us. And the first twin says, nice hair, Spencer. The other one says, yeah, like the chain too. Josiah said, yeah, because you wish you could afford one, punk. He might have said it a little bit more graphic, but he said something like that. And the one twin was like, what? And he said, you're going to insult my man's chain right here. You want to do something now? I mean, what are you going to open up your mouth for? What are you going to say that for? What are you going to say that then for? You got a problem? And he completely punked them down. I'd never had anybody in my entire life stand up for me. It sounds silly, but I've been thinking a lot about just the things, you got certain things, certain events in your life that, end up shaping you, that end up, you remember, okay, this person had one a friend, this person was a friend, he was a friend, okay? Now, we had a little group we hung out with, and the one kid, I'm going to say it, I don't care if he is friends with them now, I doubt he is, but he was a douche. He was this little, oh Lord, I mean, I thought I'd escape that whole, my daddy has this, by going to this school. My mom did well, but she raised us, she'd stop on the corner and point at the homeless person and say, God loves you as much as they love them. And I did a pumpkin sale for the homeless, to feed the homeless. Not a school project. I saw the homeless people in New York. It messed me up. And so I was selling pumpkins. I got an alien head thing, and I sold it on the side of the road. I painted them up and all this stuff. But Mom raised us right. And the one kid in the group was a tool. And there was some issues, Basically, Josiah, I think that it's pretty clear throughout growing up, dealing with that fool and everything else. Eventually, everybody pretty much saw that with me, I'm a little bit too forthcoming with I am who I am. If I got your back, I got your back. If I'm with you, I'm with you. And he was my best friend all the way up until I quit acting right. And even then, there wasn't any time that he wouldn't say what's up when he was passing me or trying to, check in, like, what's been happening with you, I decided to quit hanging out with the people that I'd been hanging out with before. And, that was my choice. I started hanging out with the drug dealers. And, yeah, because that's what I wanted to be. I didn't want people, the people who were two grades ahead of us, he can tell you, they were relentless. They were terrible. They were terrible. Now, he's funny. I'm gonna embarrass him on something here. He was all muscle, but he was skinny. He's a little guy back in the 7th, 8th grade. He put some on as we went along. But I remember we was went over to his dropped him off at his house. Went up there and we was talking. And he's like, "Yeah, I've been doing dips." And he had this little line on his arm. He's like, "Yeah, you see my tricep? You can't see your tricep. I'll let you know why you ended up seeing it at the end of that summer. I did dips every day that entire summer between the 7th and 8th grade. Man, he was like, how your brother can say something to you, but nobody else better do it. That was us. You know what I mean? He could say some stuff, and he let me know I was getting a little bit chunky. Oh man, that lit a fire into me, and it got me healthy. I weighed about 138, if I remember correctly, at the start of the summer, at the end of the 7th grade. And I ran 2 miles every morning. I got up at 5 a.m. I don't know why. I guess that's what bad mothers did. They get up at 5 a.m. and they start working out. So I got up at 5 a.m. in the summer to run 2 miles. And, I ran my fat butt around the corner. And every parent that knew who I was would stop and drive slow and like, you need a ride? And I'm like, I'm jogging, trying to get some exercise. Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. You can go on now. And it took them a minute to get it. But anyway, you got friends who give positive criticism, and then ones that give like that, just that negative, toxic stuff. Man, I got a little competitive with that little tiny line. We was gonna see who had a little bit more of a line on their arm at the end of it. He's like, you didn't have a tricep before. What happened there? I'm like, I don't know, man. Shoot. I stayed down in the basement of that house. They had Bill Phillips, Body for Life. And that was like the first guy who did the before and after pictures. And I read that book, was eating tuna on wheat bread. I still wasn't eating anything all that special. I was 4'11" in the 8th grade. Man, I didn't hit growth spurt until 9th grade. But anyway, always though, this was the first friend I had who had my back. I was at a school where everybody you couldn't do anything different. I had that chain. If I were to wear that at that school, I'd have been tortured. I had these shoes that were shiny. And one kid who tormented me said they were show-off shoes. I threw them in the corner, never wore them again. And I get to this public school, and it's all right to have a little something extra, But anyway, he took a different path. He did the right thing. He went the right way. Now he's quick to get into some stuff like not anything bad like drugs or none of that. But he was one that if you needed somebody to have your back, he's going to rush in there. And I'm sure he still is no different than he was back then. And this was just a video we talked the other day, yesterday. I'm incredibly antisocial. I'm pretty. I've made that clear. I've got certain issues, this and that, and 44 people that I know from Cave Spring, Hidden Valley, aren't with us anymore. We were going down a list of a handful of people that aren't with us anymore. He remembers one. He used to always rip on him. It was funny. Chase. And I need to message Chase. Chase Connors. His sister was on Dr. Phil. Life in the Fast Lane. That was a clever play on words. Lane was her name, so Life on the Fast Lane. And wouldn't you believe it? That girl, the same day they moved back to Texas, told on me for getting coke when she sold it to me. I thought, you hussy, I can't believe you did that. But anyway, him and Chase were funny, man. They'd have little zingers back and forth, but Josiah was quicker. Oh, he burned me up with these zingers. Oh, and I can't, y'all know, I get burned up when somebody says, and I think, oh, you. Now, I talk about, how boys will be boys. You see a guy, you throw him up, you see who's quicker. Man, until after, I've been training probably about 3 years. Probably about 3 years what it took me to catch up with him. I have no doubt he's still quick. I remember, there were a couple times we'd throw him up. Oh, man. His kid embarrassed me. He'd embarrass me. And it wasn't nothing to, embarrass, like to hurt your feelings or something. But, just in terms of, throwing him up, see who's quicker. Man, this kid was quick. He was quick. And, so anyway, just wanted to talk a little bit about old times. It's a old friend. I've talked to him and a couple others that I hadn't talked to in a very long time. Got this odd little YouTube world that's become some of my best friends and family on here. Some of you guys have been with me for a good minute, and y'all have become friends. I used to say I don't have friends and I don't want friends, but since off probation, I was so scared that anything bad would happen. So I kind of just put myself in a hole and minimize the risk. But that's not true. You know, I do have friends. And it don't matter if I hadn't seen Josiah in 10 years, 20 years. Man, we probably pick back up right like we never left off. He's one of those people. And you don't get a lot of people like that, you know. And that's just what it is. I can't believe he's a preacher, though, man, because this was a fighting kid. He wasn't a bad kid or nothing like that. And oh, God, I did something to embarrass myself one time. We hadn't hung out. I've been hustling and everything else. I was at a different school. Done got told, don't come back to Hidden Valley. You'll get arrested. And I picked him up in the S2000, and I took him to go re-up. And then I tooted some up, and then I got out of the car on a country road, and I'm like, yeah, I can do so many push-ups on this. I got out of the car, and I did some push-ups in the middle of the road, embarrassed myself. I'm sorry for that, dude. Yeah, I remember that. Got geeked up, and he didn't do none of that. None of that. Didn't indulge in none of that. And here I am. He went with me on a re-up, smack middle in the ghetto, Melrose and Orange, at the church at the corner. The house beside of it, he no longer lives there. I can say this now. Went over to re-up, then did some. And what you know, this mother, I think he did it to me on purpose. I was tooting some up, and I went in, it was a Kroger, and I was in a bathroom stall. He came in there, and he scared the piss out of me, and I dropped it on the floor. Oh, my Lord. I scraped that up and put it in a separate bag. I gave that to somebody I didn't like, but I was mad at him. He got me. He scared me on that one. I think he did it on purpose because he knew what I was doing was wrong. And he figured yeah, it's what you get type of deal. But, you know, make choices coming up and stuff like that. And although, you know, we kind of drifted a little bit different paths, he was always, it wasn't like one of those people, you know, hey, you're off with them now, you ain't my friend anymore. Nah. And, you know, I'm grateful for that. And there's a few people, you know, I talked to Kevin Crockett the other day too, but this isn't about Kevin. I'm going to talk about him later. Get him back in the leather stuff, but I'll talk about that later. I'm also doing a live with Weavy again tonight. By the way, Jay Williams made an appearance last night. Yeah, the man. Jay Williams made an appearance, and he's supposed to be making an appearance tonight. Man, that's like a white Morgan Freeman with a gap tooth. He might be a white Morpheus, is what he is. Like the Matrix dude. Yeah, he's like a white Morpheus. You know, the way he talks. I mean, that guy, Lord have mercy. I mean, he gave me a compliment on a video, and I was like, oh, Lord. I'm going to say something stupid and embarrass myself. I know that sounds silly, but Jay's a big reason I started doing these videos, and it's been a little bit that I've been doing them. And, you know, basically I hurt my shoulder. You know, Josiah, he doesn't have a whole lot of background other than I trained, you know, judo, jiu-jitsu, and all this stuff. And, you know, I told him a little bit about it, but I hurt my shoulder. When I hurt my shoulder, I wasn't able to train obsessively. Training obsessively is what keeps me balanced. And even then, I'm still off, okay? I mean, that's obvious. You know, I don't function as I guess you would say a normal person functions. And, you know, it's okay, but I found a balance of what works for me. And training obsessively twice a day was keeping me right. And when I tore my rotator cuff, I didn't have that, and it left me in a bad spot. And Jay talks about these videos being like therapy, stuff like that. They are like therapy. And you know what? This is a positive one. So, you know, some of the ones talk about some crazy stuff. Like I got the Flamin' Raymond video, and I got this video and that video. But this is a good one. You know, I talked to my friend. I talked to a couple friends yesterday, but Josiah was my first friend. My first real friend. You know, I thought I had friends for that. I didn't have friends. They weren't friends. And you know, there was a number of times he took up for me whenever there was some douchebag had something to say. And of course, you know, after he spoke, then I'd be 10 foot tall, you know. Although I was about 4'11" and a half, I wasn't 5 foot. Shoot, Lord have mercy. 8th grade, 4'11" and a half. That was a shame, man. But I did lose that weight between the 7th and 8th grade. He's like, got a little extra on you there, don't you? Man, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I'd suck it in, and I thought, man, you look pretty good. And him saying that, I did a reality check. I did that. Let it all. I was like, oh Lord, he's right. I'll tell you what. It comes the end of the summer, we're gonna see who's got a bigger tricep on their arm. Did dips all summer. Yeah, he showed me he did the dips, and he's like, yeah, look at that bang coming up the arm. And he wasn't anything like crazy arrogant or anything like that, but he was proud of his little tricep muscle he had back then. And he ended up putting on a good bit of muscle. He played football and everything else. And I'm just talking about the 7th grade. I'm talking trash right now. Just like he talked to me, but that motivated me, man. But yeah, so I'm grateful for my buddy Josiah, and I can't believe he's a preacher. It's incredible. It's wonderful. It's incredible. Lord, I kind of went the other route on that one, didn't I? Shoot, it's all worked out, though. Never thought a bad could turn into a good. People say a bad turns into a good, and you want to smack them, okay? I got to work on that turn the other cheek thing. My thing is turn the other cheek is almost smack somebody on one side and tell them turn the other cheek and smack them on the other side. They tell me a bad can become a good, but a bad has become a good. Never thought these crazy stories would, Basically, I was set to be Frank off of Shameless. Every day was an adventure. And man, but that one time I took him to re-up and I did those push-ups on the backcountry road. Man, I'm embarrassed about that. It was off of Two Ford Road. He'll remember this. Behind my mom's house, Two Ford Road. And there's a little road, this country road, that if you go to the end of Two Ford, you take a left and an immediate right. And it takes you big $1 million houses down this way, but it's a long country road, a whole lot of nothing. Got out and did push-ups on the ground. And he's like, well, yeah, that's pretty good. And I know he is thinking, what in the world have I got myself into? What is he doing? But yeah, he scared me, made me drop a whole bunch of it all over Kroger floor. Oh my Lord. I know he did that because I shouldn't have been doing that, and he was right to do that. But anyway, it's just a little reminiscing, a little talking back on some of the times, That first school I went to, oh my Lord, hated it. And, it's not mature and all this, and, spent a lot of my 20s in federal prison because of my choices. But, man, I busted those North Cross kids in the head. All those, my daddy has this, well, your daddy can pay for this. And you're going to get half, and it's going to be a quarter of what you were expecting it to be. Oh, my Lord. Yeah, it was. I know that's not mature, but I did. I busted them in the head. Every chance I got. Oh, I have a little bit of a grudge. Got to work on that, But, yeah, man. So that's about it for this one. I know it's what my typical. But, man, we talked to my friend yesterday. He's a preacher now. I'm proud of him. And figured I'd do a video. It's a little off my normal. But I figured I'd share this, Man, always the most complimentary, positive person on the planet. Now, I'm waiting for that trash talk to come back out. I know it's still in there somewhere, nothing bad, nothing awful, but like everything was just so positive. He's like, yeah, you liked boxing back when we were kids. And he's talking about we boxed and I got him out of breath and something like that on the trampoline. We had this trampoline with a net around it, and I'd get boxing gloves and be fighting on it. Try to act like I did something to him, like I might have outdone him. No, I did not. That's the preacher stuff. You're being nice. You're being nice and humble, man. I did not. Yeah, I did not. I guarantee you whooped me back then, because I would remember whooping you. Yeah, I would have had a gold star, a feather, and I wouldn't have gone around telling everybody, but I'd have been like, hey, Got him. No, I didn't get you. No, no, no. I did not get you. Hey, you was too quick. You was too quick back then. You're probably still just as quick now. Don't know what to do now. But anyway, next time you're in with to throw 'em up, have a little bit of fun with it. I'm excited to see you the next time you're in. It's been a good minute. He lives out west now. I believe like Colorado, Oregon, somewhere like that. He's living right now. My sister's out in LA. It's some wild stuff. Hadn't been on vacation since I was 16 years old. 17 years. I need to go somewhere. It might be somewhere to start. Had a fake preacher where I'm from that was really a piece of work. Turned me off of going to church and everything for a long time, just at his hypocriticalness of letting me know he didn't pray for me to get out, pray God's will be done. And then whenever they wrote the articles about me doing so much good and the work with the kids, he said, "I've always been your #1 fan. You need to come by." And I'm like, come on now. That guy's the cool preacher. Well, he wants to be the cool preacher. He wants to be what Josiah is. Okay? I guarantee it. Wants to be what Josiah is. He wants to be the cool preacher. And man, this fat middle-aged man, Lord have mercy, drove me around, talked down on my mom's business, acting like I thought. I've never once bragged about, that or store or nothing like that, but he picked me up and started talking crazy, talking crap. And then he made me go, the preacher I'm talking about, he made me go sit twacked out at a coffee spot. And of course everybody's like walking up, like wanting to be seen by him. And I'm twatting, I'm like, oh my Lord, that was the worst thing. Josiah would take somebody to the side and he'd really let them know, listen, I love you, God loved you. And he wouldn't parade somebody around, he wouldn't belittle somebody. As tough as he could be, that wasn't how he'd do it. I already know. I don't have to see him for as long as it's been. Anything else, who certain people are. And this is one of those people. I've went on way too long talking about this. It's going to be up late tonight because I started late, getting it up late. But that's him in the thumbnail. It's an older picture. I had to put an older picture because he sent the new pictures. And I mean, he just looks too freaking nice. And I'm trying to pass this guy's a fighter. And now every picture that he has, he just, even when he ain't smiling, he looks friendly. Which is wild because, back then, even if he smiled, he looked like he was ornery, getting ready to get into something. So if you like the video, press the like button. If not, that's 28 minutes and 5 seconds of your life in which you'll never get back. So this wasn't my typical, but I hope you guys liked it. The people who've been here watching this thing come about for so long now, see what shaped me, you know what I mean? And tonight, on Big Weevy's channel, you need to check Big Weevy out, okay? Me and him are getting up soon. We're getting up soon. We talked late last night. He had somebody pass. Meant a lot to him. And sometimes somebody needs somebody to just talk to. He needs somebody to talk to. I stayed up, God, at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., talking to Weevy. And that's what people need sometimes. That's all it takes. And he needed to talk about some stuff that he kept in for a long time. And you keep that stuff in and it'll eat you from the inside out. Can't do that. Weevy's a good dude. That's a big old good-hearted dude. And I plan on getting up with him soon. We got some interesting plans, some interesting stuff that we've been discussing that you can look forward to here in the very, very near future. But Weevy, he's near where I live, pretty much the homeboy. So he's rolled around too. He got like 900 subscribers in the past month. Yeah, he's come about some wild stuff. And Jay Williams is supposed to make an appearance tonight. with one of his many ball caps. Lord have mercy. Yeah, that man's got a ball cap collection. You know, I need to borrow one of them. Look at this. It's like squirrels screwing on top of my head. I'm going to get this chopped off though tomorrow, so don't worry. It'll be alright. But anyway, that's the end of it.